Ooh, what's up, nerds and geeks? My name is OMG WTF LOL FTW BRB. Welcome back to more Total Extreme Wrestling 2016. We're playing as the WWF in the year 2001, but more importantly, we are booking the Invasion angle. And tonight, we are going to be running the Go Home show for SummerSlam, the Go Home Smackdown to SummerSlam. So this is the final show before the big pay-per-view. And we had one locker room incident, a positive one. Shane McMahon, our son in the game, he brought pizza for everyone in the locker room, and everyone was happy. Of course they were. They got pizza. Who wouldn't be happy? I love pizza. I'd be happy. Either way, though, not much to say. I know it's been a little while since I've uploaded. I say this almost every time, it seems like. I'm probably going to stop explaining it. Been working, have had a lot of, not personal time, but I didn't really have a lot of time to go ahead and book it. Usually when I come home from work, I'm pretty tired. I like to relax, watch some YouTube videos, so on and so forth. And I had Friday and I have today off, so it's a little easier. So we're gonna have SmackDown uploaded today, and then tomorrow SummerSlam will be uploaded. And for those of you in the future who are watching this as a past video I uploaded, my apologies for ranting on. Let's go ahead and run the show, shall we? We have a total of 3 pre-show matches tonight. This one, oh, that's not good. I wanted to do a little bit of a test here, and I see that it doesn't work that way, so we'll have to book what I plan to do in a different way. But either way, in a poor pre-show match, the right two censors, Val Venus and Goodfather, defeating Rikishi and Scotty 2 Hotty, when Venus defeated Scotty with a foreign object. Huh. Did you look at that? This got us a C-. Unfortunately, Rikishi sustained a drummer's elbow. Not really sure what that was. Hopefully the injury's not too bad. I doubt it is. Scotty, of course, with the worst out of the 4 superstars here with a D+ in the ring. Goodfather at a C-, and both Rikishi and Val at a C. No improvements when there's 3 right in front of me. Rikishi's improving in performance, as is Val Venus and Scotty 2 Hotty. So, Scotty is currently a heel, and I wanted to see if I just book, a heel in a match who is scheduled to turn, which I'm pretty sure I schedule him to turn, if that would just work that way, but it seems like it's not. It seems like we either have to book an angle in the game to where it would be like Goodfather turned on Scotty or something to make him turn, or just have an angle afterwards. So like I said, I was just testing that out there. Yes, we know he sustained an injury. Oh, there's a little bit of a backstage heat on Val Venus. It was his mistake that caused Rikishi to get hurt. What are you doing, Val? We then move on to a D+ in a terrible pre-show match. Mark Jindrak defeating K-Quick with the Mark of Perfection. Jindrak was the superior in-ring performer out of the 2, so there is that. We move to our next segment, which gets us a C+, the main event of the pre-show. Decent wrestling, but not much Wayne Heat. Edge and the Dudley Boys defeating the team of Jerry Lynn, Jamie Noble, and Just Incredible when Edge defeated Jerry Lynn with a spear. Edge was head and shoulders above everybody else in the ring here tonight. He had a in-ring performance of a B, so there you have it. To Bubba Ray and Devon C+, along with Just Incredible C-, Jamie Noble's D+, and Jerry Lynn's D+. Bubba's improving in performance, and Jamie Noble's as well as improving in performance. Either way, incorrect sentences. I'm rambling. Let's just move on. Messing up my sentences. Either way, we start off the night. Friday Night SmackDown officially starts. Thursday Night SmackDown, with an A. The announcers, they welcome us to Friday Night SmackDown. The Rock's music hits. He makes his way down to the ring. Both Michael Cole and Paul Heyman begin to recap highlights of the feud between himself and Diamond Dallas Page. Once in the ring, Rock takes the mic. He shushes the crowd, shh. He does his whole catchphrase, finally. The Rock has come back to the Colorado Pepsi Center. Then he takes a more serious tone and he says, and as much as I love you, Colorado, it's time to get serious for a moment. We have an imposter in the ranks. Diamond Dallas Page parades around here claiming to be the people's champion. He comes out here with his hearing aids and his cane with the tennis balls at the bottom, bragging and saying, well, back in my day, I was the WCW People's Champion. Back in my day, I got to be a 3-time world champion. And trust me, young man, that's because there were so many other... That's a big because there were so many other interesting people there. Before The Rock can continue, running down on Diamond Dallas Page, accusing him of being old and whatnot, even though he is old. I don't know how you can accuse someone of being old. Either way, DDP's music hits. He comes out, he's mocking The Rock's comments. He has, acting like he has an actual walker cane, taking his time getting out to the entranceway, kind of playing off to Rock's comments, and also having some fun with it as well. And DDP says, you're a real jokester, aren't you, Rock? But you know what? Just get rid of Shane McMahon's thing here. You know what? Old jokes aside, please do go on. Continue to list my accomplishments because you're right. I am a 3-time WC champion. WCW champion, not WC. WCW champion. And in the lands of Hogan's and Nash's and Goldberg's, I'd say that's a pretty big deal. And just like these sheep and the WWF have chosen you to be the wolf they follow, back in WCW, I was the people's chosen warrior. When you were just hitting your stride as the corporate champion, again, I don't know if that's true. Who knows? Rock could have been people's champion when Diamond Dallas Page is being called. Either way, when you were hitting your stride as the corporate champion, now it makes sense how you know all about my career. You must have been a big fan. Or maybe you just stole something you saw was working, something Vince McMahon has done time and time and time again. Pretty much just accusing The Rock of stealing the People's Champion gimmick from him, along with, accusing Vince McMahon of stealing a bunch from WCW. Rock then replies, you think The Rock copied off of you? You think The Rock is a copy? A clone of DDP? Yeah, I do. It doesn't matter what you think, because the only thing that matters, DDP, is we settled this Sunday at SummerSlam, when the WCW's People's Champion goes one-on-one with the Great One, the WWF's People's Champion, and we settle the debate once and for all, who is the real People's Champion. And then Paige replies, well, that's this Sunday's Rock, and you know what I say? I say, why wait? You're here, I'm here, why don't we settle this tonight? And The Rock, I'd imagine, taking off his glasses, raising his eyebrow, and he says, The Rock don't care when or where. If you want The Rock to be Rock tonight, then we can do it right now. And Paige goes, oh, no, Rock, you and I will fight one-on-one this Sunday. But I guess you didn't hear or bother to look at the card tonight because you get to team with Chris Squared, Benoit and Jericho. Another thing the WWF stole from WCW, and you get to battle me, Booker T, and Kurt Angle tonight in the main event. And I'd imagine maybe Rock saying something back, but I really don't know what he would say back. But pretty much the Angle would probably just end there with the announcement that tonight we will see Rock teaming up with Jericho and Benoit. He called them Chris Squared because they're both named Chris. And he accused WWF of stealing from WCW once again because if you remember, and I'm sure a lot of you do remember, Jericho and Benoit kind of got their start in WCW. I believe they both got their start in ECW as well. Maybe only Benoit. I don't really remember if Jericho did. But it wasn't until WCW when they started getting mainstream notice, I guess would be the word. And that settles it for tonight. Our main event will be a 6-man tag between the 3 major feuds. So, of course, Michael Cole's announcing job was pretty weak. But did get the crowd hotter, and the Rock and DDP storyline advanced and gained heat, which we definitely need that. So moving on, we go to our opening match of the night. It's 8-man tag team action and a B-, and a decent match. Team WCW, which is composed of the Canadian champion Lance Storm, hardcore champion Kanyon, and the WCW tag team champions Sean O'Haire and Chuck Palumbo, defeating Team WWF, comprised of William Regal, Bradshaw, and Jeff and Matt, the Hardy Boys. The match ended when Lance Storm defeated Regal with a last call after distraction from Stacy Keibler. So the way I'd imagine this ending is, I think I did book this if we go to my book. Yeah, Road Agent notes. It was our wild brawl style of match of the night. I'd imagine, the Hardys and Chuck Palumbo and Sean O'Haire just kind of being at each other's throats. Either way, the way I'd imagine this ending is Stacy Keibler, she gets up on the apron after, Regal looks like he's about to win the match, and she starts to like lift her skirt up, showing off her booty and all that stuff. Kind of like classic Stacy, if you remember her during the invasion angle, always, using her legs and her booty, her ass, all that good stuff, the goods, to distract the participant in the ring of her choosing. This time it was William Regal, of course, serving as the heel on the team here. It's kind of like, ooh, la la la, whatever. And Lance Storm hits him with the last call, which I believe is his super kick, which allows him to get the victory over William Regal and some more momentum heading into SummerSlam. Just classic Stacy Heaver. Oh, this is not good. Sean O'Haire sustained a swivel hip. Ooh, that's no good. Matt had a C+ in the ring. Jeff had a B-. Bradshaw had a C+. Regal had a B-. Chuck Palumbo and Sean O'Haire at C+. Canyon at a B-. And surprisingly, Lance Storm was the weakest, which, again, based off popularity, don't read too much into it. Lance Storm had an in-ring performance of a C. Of course, all three feuds, Hardys versus the Thrillers, advancing. I'm all over the place with this commentary tonight. Regal and Lance Storming advancing, and Bradshaw and Canyon advancing, not surviving. What am I saying? Regal is improving in performance, as is Jeff Hardy. They were the two superior in-ring athletes tonight alongside Canyon. So we move on to the next segment, but not before Pat Patterson lets us know that Sean O'Haire sustained a swivel hip in the match. Again, not sure what that was. We then go to an A-Star segment. That's pretty awesome. An A-Star segment, we see Shane McMahon. He's backstage. He's talking, of course, with Booker T, Diamond Dallas Page. We see Lance Storm, Sean O'Haire, and Chuck Palumbo. I'd imagine this being after commercial break, like coming back from commercial break. So we see Lance Storm and Sean O'Haire back there as well, just kind of buddying around. And then we see Ric Flair and Kurt Angle walk in, and Shane goes, "There he is." And then Kurt replies, "I heard you wanted to talk to me." "You damn right we wanted to talk to you." That was Booker T, if any of you can't tell. Then Shane, pushes Book back a little bit. He says, "Calm down, Book. I've got this." And then Angle says, "The hell is his problem? What is this all about?" "Well, Kurt," and then Book interrupts, "We heard what you said about how you ain't comfortable being called a WCW guy." And Shane looks at Book, and he probably, he just goes, "Yeah, pretty much that. And we just need to know, before you go out there and represent WCW in the main event tonight, before you go on to SummerSlam and represents WCW in your match against Chris Benoit, well, Kurt, we need to know, are you with us or are you against us?" And I'd imagine Kurt kind of looking over at Rick, and Rick just responds, "Don't look at me. This is your decision. Just remember, the Nature Boy is a WCW exclusive, and he'll take you to the top." That's when I imagine everybody in the locker room, Shane, Flair, Booker, DDP, Storm, Sean O'Haire, and Chuck Palumbo, they all start crowding around Kurt, pressuring him, demanding his answer. And then Kurt just says, "All right, could you guys give me some space? You can trust me. From here on out, I'm a WCW guy." And I just imagine, everyone in the locker room like, "Yeah, that's what I'm talking," clapping and all that. Booker T probably has a scowl all in his face because he doesn't really trust Kurt at the moment still. But either way, an A-star. So this segment definitely went well. People probably were pissed that Kurt officially went there, but apparently they were also like, "Ooh, that was really fun." I don't know. I guess an A-star can mean that, the crowd ate it up as well. Either way, Shane McMahon was superb working without a script. Ric Flair improvised well. Angle enjoyed his freedom going off script, as did Booker T. So nothing really to worry about here. Kurt Angle, of course, loves to work without a script. And I trusted these four men who were talking. These four men were not. Although I think I might trust DDP without a script. Either way, Lance Storm is developing better in performance skills as well. So there is that. That's another bonus about putting them in those matches. We didn't just go on to, a typical WCW WWF match. Nothing too important here. An extremely short match, 4 minutes and 35 seconds to be exact. Big Show defeating Chavo Guerrero with the choke slam. B- though. That's impressive, although Big Show probably helped. Big Show at a B, Chavo at a C. Nothing too special. Big Show's improving in Rumble. Just the way to get Big Show on the card pretty much in fill-up time. We then go to a B+, which I'll be honest, this kind of surprises me that this got a B+, but again, I'm not going to complain. So Kevin Kelly is backstage and he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, my guest at this time, they are the #1 contenders for the WWF Tag Team titles, Test and Albert." Of course, the two walk in along with Trish Stratus, and Test says, "Thanks, Kevin, but I'm going to cut you off there because I know what you're going to ask. And if you weren't, then frankly, you just suck as an interviewer. But we all know the question that is on everybody's mind. Why is this so personal? Why do Test and Albert hate The Undertaker and Kane more than most? As if becoming the tag team champions wasn't enough of a reason, but you're right when you assume that Albert and I hate the Brothers of Destruction. And you want to know why? Because everyone around here keeps bragging about how they're the most destructive force in the WWF tag team division. Well, they've never beaten us. And come Sunday, they still never will." Surprisingly, this interview gained Undertaker, the feud between TNA and the Brothers of Destruction, some heat. Surprised that, of course, Kevin Kelly doesn't come out looking good. That's obvious. Trish helping Test during the segment, so that probably helped. No worker improvements, but again, I'm pretty impressed here. I wasn't expecting a B+. That's close to an A rating. That's impressive. Speaking of an A rating, we go on to an A rating. Triple H's music hits. He makes his way down to the ring. The announcers, of course, recapping the events that have taken place between him and Stone Cold. Once in the ring, Triple H takes the mic and he says, I feel like I always start Triple H's promos like this, by the way. Austin, you know I was expecting you to be in the parking lot again, since as of late, instead of growing a pair and facing me in a fair match, you instead like to jump me from behind. Kinda like how you jumped me from behind, costing us the tag team championships. Figures you're nowhere to be seen tonight, considering that I'm ready and I'm prepared to fight. So why don't we stop wasting time, Austin, and you get your ass out here and let's fight. So Triple H, of course, talking about Monday Night Raw when Austin waited for him in the parking lot, and of course all the numerous times where Stone Cold has come out and cost Triple H a match, including the time when they were tag team champions and Austin just gave up hope on them and turned on Triple H. Of course, he doesn't get Stone Cold Steve Austin. Instead, D1, Billy Gunn's music hits, and instead of Austin coming out, he comes out and he makes his way down to the ring. He's smiling, and he says, Triple H. Oh, excuse me, he doesn't say Triple H. Triple H looks at him and goes, "Why are you smiling? Something funny?" And then Billy Gunn replies, "Yeah, Triple H, actually there is something funny. I think it's funny how karma has finally come back and bitten you in the ass. You come out here and you whine about how Austin turned his back on you. You come out here and whine about how Austin interferes in your matches and costs you everything. When that is classic Triple H 101. You turned on D-Generation X. You turned your back on X-Pac and joined the corporate ministry. You turned on pretty much anyone you've ever teamed with. And trust me, you've definitely had your fair share of run-ins in your career pretty much. Just running down on Triple H. I didn't really feel like finishing it in the notepad section because it's not really much to be said. Pretty much after all that, Triple H gets in Gunn's face or something, and it leads to a match between the two. So coming up after this angle, we will see Triple H versus Billy Gunn. Triple H and Stephanie, of course, have great chemistry. This gained them heat. Thanks, Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn, of course, looking dreadful, so Triple H definitely carried this angle on his back. Of course, Austin's overness helped probably too. Either way, we move on to our next match, which gets a B. Again, that's pretty impressive. We never expected Billy Gunn to... Well, then again, like I said, Triple H is in the match. But either way, in a decent match, Triple H defeating the one Billy Gunn when Billy Gunn was disqualified after Steve, what did I say it like that for? Steve Austin ran in and attacked Triple H. So I'd imagine Triple H and Billy Gunn back and forth. Triple H mostly with the advantage here, beating down on Gunn. This leads to Stone Cold racing down to the ring, jumping right on Triple H, referee ringing the bell, disqualification win. And Austin and Triple H continue their beatdown, which we'll see in the next segment. This is kind of funny. It did lose heat, unfortunately, but that's fine. So Triple H had an in-ring performance of an A, Billy Gunn at a D+. The vast difference between these two. Although for Billy Gunn, he is improving in Rumble, so he has that going for him. So we move on to an A-star. Hell yeah. I'm very happy with that. A-star. Austin continues the brawl with Triple H after the match. You know, they're just going back and forth. The two brawl all over ringside using a variety of weapons, chairs, the steel steps, tossing each other into the ring barricades, and, you know, smashing each other onto the ringside tables. Not putting each other through them, just, you know, face first into it. Maybe, you know, tearing them apart, hitting them with the monitors, so on and so forth before they are finally separated by an assortment of backstage workers like road agents, referees, and other wrestlers who really aren't that important. Maybe even Billy Gunn since he's there. They tried to hold the two men back, but of course, you know, Triple H and Austin, they are able to break through. They continue to brawl, of course, being held back once again. This leads to Mick Foley, the WWF commissioner, making his way down to ringside, and he says, "Enough! That's enough out of both of you. Now, week after week, I've had to worry and deal with you two trying to rip each other's faces off. And despite my best efforts of trying to keep our SummerSlam main event safe and you two away from each other, it just won't work. If it's not Triple H attacking Austin, it's Austin attacking Triple H. So, you know, since you two want to beat the crap out of each other and can't wait until this Sunday, then this Sunday, you two will fight in an unsanctioned match for the WWF Championship. Have a nice day, gentlemen." And I'd imagine both Austin and Triple H, more Triple H being pissed off at the decision. I imagine probably Austin kind of like smiling because he gets to have his hands on, you know, Triple H and not worry about a DQ finish or anything. Triple H is pissed. I'd imagine him, you know, screaming at Foley, "You're screwing me! You're trying to screw me!" Because, again, there's like a little bit of an ongoing feud between Triple H and Mick Foley right now. Of course, Foley's a little bitter because Triple H is the one that retired him. And, but he's also just doing his job. Of course, Triple H looks at it like, I retired this guy, and now he's trying to, you know, pretty much screw me over. So, yeah. A little bit of a storyline going on between them, and that's why Triple H feels like he's been screwed by Mick Foley. Triple H looked good. Austin came out of looking excellent, and this gained back whatever heat we lost in that Billy Gunn match. Moving on to the next segment, we just see, I imagine probably back from a commercial break, we see Taker and Kane, they're in the ring about to compete, when Test and Albert's music hits, and they make their way down to the commentary table. So just pretty much a ringside scouting. Lost the storyline some heat, but again, it's really not supposed to be too effective. We then go on to a B- of a match, and about that had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. The Brothers of Destruction defeating WCW's Chronic, when Undertaker defeated Brian Clark with the pinfall after a double choke slam. I'm not sure which one's Brian Clark. Does it tell us? This one's Brian Clark. I think Brian Adams was the one we suspended. I could be wrong. Don't necessarily remember. Either way, Chronic making their return after either Clark or Adams. I think it was Brian Adams, because I think I remember using the name Brian Clark a lot. But either way, Brian, one of them, are back from their suspension after using steroids, and they come back to job out to the Brothers of Destruction. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough selling shown, which makes me kind of laugh because, I believe it was the previous video, either it was Heat. No, it wasn't Heat. It was either Raw. I'm pretty sure it was Raw. Taker was passing down tips to Mark Jindrak on how to sell, and one of the commenters said, "How's Undertaker going to teach anyone how to sell?" Which is kind of true because Taker's never really been known for his selling, so that's just kind of funny to me. And then we see it suffer because there was not enough selling shown. Just funny. Either way, Kane added A, Taker added A-star, and both the Bryans at AC. There we go. No worker improvements either. We go on to our next segment, which is an A. Hell yes. Match is over. Undertaker, he's looking at Test and Albert, who are on the commentary table. He opens up the ropes, doing the whole leaning down on them, enough room for them to get in. He's pretty much taunting Test and Albert, get in the ring. Of course, Test and Albert, they're no slouches. They ain't backing down, so they do exactly that. They get in the ring. Taker backs up. Once in the ring, of course, Taker and Test face, Kane and Albert's face, They're exchanging words, mostly Test and Taker. I'd imagine Albert and Kane, who are just playing like the menacing roles here, are in each other's face. So we have Test and Taker in each other's face. You know, they're exchanging words back and forth before. I'd imagine Test probably taking the first swing, and then we have a big brawl break out between the four men, and kind of like we just saw with Triple H and Austin. A bunch of ringside workers have to come down and pull apart the men. I'd imagine, you know, Trish also involved in that, kind of pushing Test and Albert back to the ringside thing, while Test is like just screaming at him, "We'll see you this Sunday. We'll see you this Sunday." Just a whole crazy brawl between Test and Albert and the Brothers of Destruction. Unfortunately, Test and Albert did underperform, but that's because I believe, well, they are upper mid-carders, so they're not too far ahead or too far behind these guys who are both mid-carders. But Kane and Taker are like not iconic status, but they're like huge stars compared to Albert and Test, who are on the rise. So of course they're going to underperform. Taker did come out of this looking excellent, and Kane did come across looking well, so it's not like it was a bad angle. Got an A for Christmas sake. So we then go on to another A star. You know, it's crazy. Back in my old playthroughs on 213, I never got any A stars. This game, I get like A stars all the time, especially now that I got rid of China. So we go to another A star. We see Rock, Jericho, and Benoit. They're standing side by side when we see/hear Vince McMahon talking, and he says, hold on, let me take my drink, nerds and geeks. Okay. Tonight, and more importantly, this Sunday, you three represent the WWF in the three biggest matches in this war with WCW at SummerSlam. Benoit, you get Kurt Angle, the Benedict Arnold, in a last man standing match, where not only do you defend the WWF Intercontinental title, one of the most richest and prestigious titles in the WWF, but you get the opportunity to capture and take one of WCW's richest and most prestigious titles in the WCW United States Championship. Then there's you, Rock, where this Sunday, you and Diamond Dallas Page are the first two superstars from WWF and WCW that get to step into what many have called a dream match. The match where we find out who is the true People's Champion. And more importantly, then there's your match, Jericho. Probably the most important match, where you challenge Booker T for the WCW title. You got the chance to cut the head off of WCW this Sunday. But tonight, you three have to work together and send a message. You three have to go out there and you have to show Booker T, you have to show Kurt Angle, and you have to show Diamond Dallas Page what the WWF is made of. I don't want to hear any excuses. No, he's better than none of this crap, no jealousy, nothing. You three need to go out there and you need to show that the WWF is stronger than it ever has been. I was ad-libbing the most of that there because obviously, as you can see, I wasn't allowed to finish, and I didn't really feel, because I was close to ending the angle anyway, I didn't really feel like doing in the notes. So pretty much Vince McMahon hyping up The Rock, hyping up Jericho, hyping up Benoit for, not only their big matches at SummerSlam, but the main event tonight to gain some more momentum heading into SummerSlam. So either way, just, there's really nothing else to say, just a hype angle. So we move on to our main event, the six-man tag, which I believe was our storyline match. Yeah, storytelling match of the night. Gets a B. In a superb match, Rock, Jericho, and Benoit defeating Booker T, Diamond Dallas Page, and Kurt Angle when Benoit defeated Kurt Angle after a botched interference by Ric Flair. You also notice that it says we had a lot of interference. Of course, Ric Flair distracting Rock, Jericho, and Benoit. So the way I'd imagine this happening is it's a very open match. That we don't know who's winning. Everyone's getting their shit in back and forth. Again, Rock and DDP probably at each other's throats, and Ric Flair being the dirtiest player in the game, providing distractions. Whenever Rock's in the ring, whenever Jericho's in the ring, whenever Benoit's in the ring, just constantly being that thorn in the side of WWF. I'd imagine it ending when I don't know exactly. Maybe Benoit is getting ready or Kurt Angle, not Benoit. Maybe Kurt Angle's getting ready for like a German suplex or something, while Benoit's holding on to the ropes. And then I'd imagine maybe like Booker and DDP distracting the referee being distracted by Rock and DDP battling each other. Ric Flair has the United States Championship in his hands. He goes to swing at Benoit to help Kurt Angle. Benoit ducks. He decks Angle instead. This allows Chris Benoit to, I'd imagine, maybe hits him for a German suplex, a bridging German suplex for the win. 1, 2, 3. So Flair kind of costing Kurt Angle the match, and Benoit picking up some momentum against Kurt, as well as WWF showing that they can work together as a team. Shane McMahon did some good work ringside as well. I forgot that he's Booker T's manager. So as well, he probably could have, provided distraction while Flair did what he did. Benoit had an in-ring performance of a B+, Jericho at an A, Rock at an A star, Angle at an A, Page at a B, and Booker at a B+. So Diamond Dallas Page was the weakest out of everybody here. None of the storylines gained heat from this, but they didn't lose heat either. And Booker T is improving in Rumble skills. So all in all, not bad. So we move on, and we get a B+, the show increasing our popularity in 16 regions. Not a bad go-home show if you ask me. I forget what Raw was rated, but I think Raw might have been better. I enjoyed Raw a lot more as, maybe. What is this? Holy shit. Rumors have been circulating that Shawn Michaels and Kevin Nash have had a major falling out and are no longer even on speaking terms. Insiders have already begun speculating as to how much this could impact their business relationship. I didn't think Shawn Michaels is unemployed. Look at that. We can hire him, though. Everyone's like, yeah, I think hiring him is a great idea. But, so he's got strong friendship with Scott Hall, strong friendship with Sean Waltman, not Shawn Michaels. Hatred of Bret Hart, strong dislike of Rock, strong friendship with Triple H. Strong dislike of Davey Boy, Jim Neidhart, and Owen Hart, and the mentor to both Paul London and Brian Kendrick. Paul London, I didn't know that. So he has no relationship with Kevin Nash now. It's interesting. I usually it goes on, oh yeah, that's right, Rikishi got injured. But he's working fine. More importantly, Sean O'Haire got injured. That's just, Fabulous Moolah's retiring. So he's not going to miss any time off, so I guess there is that. But other than that, we got a couple emails. Look at that. Shawn Michaels and Kevin Nash had a falling out. So let's look at Kevin Nash out of curiosity. No, it doesn't. He's dating Shay Ann. I'm curious. I'm going to have to check that out now. But it doesn't really say anything. What's this? Calm down, Stephen Ridge. I just booked you to go over Edge. Get over yourself. Shay Ann. Let's check out who that is real quick. I'm curious now. Shay Ann. Former Nitro girl. Went on to become a cheerleader for the Falcons. She's dating Kevin Nash. I wonder if they really dated. I don't know. They probably did, because I haven't seen anything pop up of Kevin Nash and her now in a relationship. That's just interesting. I'm going to take a risk here, nerds and geeks. Before we do that, though, let's go to medical and just see how long Sean O'Haire. 23 days. Of course, 23 days. Either way, you got a big match Sunday, so it's going to suck for you. Oh, boy. We might be brushing some things under right now, nerds and geeks, because all three of these men are scheduled for SummerSlam, and I'm not going to take them off SummerSlam, so let's start with Test first. Steroid user, we are going to fine him for now. We're going to fine any of these guys for the steroids, kind of give them, as well, kind of, didn't Hugh get suspended? No. We're going to give them kind of the slip of the hand right now, because they got big matches at SummerSlam, so we're not going to worry too much about it, but we are going to fine them, give some money away to charity, so on and so forth. Fucking A, guys. What are they doing, steroids? Come on, man. Either way, nerds and geeks, that's going to be the end of this episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, do me a favor. Leave me a comment, like, and subscribe if you have not already. And as always, my name has been OMG, WTF, LOL, FTW, BRB. And I'll be seeing you guys for Sunday Night Heat and SummerSlam, which both will be uploaded tomorrow. So until then, nerds and geeks, you guys have a wonderful day.